Hello, welcome to Sunday School Simplified. Just got done with our Sunday school class, and I always cry. I'm always so fired up about our lesson, and I try not to cry with them, so then I get on here and I'm like, I'm just going to cry when I talk. But anyways, I hope everyone is having a great Sunday. It's the second Sunday of Lent. And this Sunday, we're going to talk a little bit about faith and what that even means. So I asked the kids, what is the definition of faith? And simply, they said to believe. And more than just believe, it's to believe in something that we can't see or touch, right? And the example, the everyday, every single second example we often give is that we breathe in and out without ever questioning if there will be air to fill our lungs. We can't see it. We can't feel it unless we're excessively fanning our face, but we still do it without ever thinking about it. And that's a lot like what our faith should be like in God, but that's what a lot of people struggle with. And that's kind of one of the whole points of the Lenten season too, is you're strengthening your relationship with God, or you're at least looking at it and you're seeing, is my relationship as strong as it should be? Is my faith as strong as it should be? And what are things that I can do to make it better? And the story that we talked about in the Bible, it's one of the biggest examples of faith, is Abraham and Sarah in the Old Testament in Genesis. And actually, some people don't even know they were actually Abram and Sarai at the beginning of their journey. And most people don't even name them that because it gets really confusing. But it is an important part of the story because God promised Abram that he would be a father, and not just any father, but the father of many children and many descendants, father of all of these descendants. And it didn't happen. And then, God kept asking him to be faithful and do these things, and he got older, and his wife wasn't having a baby, and he could have stopped, and he didn't, and he kept on. And then, Abraham was getting really old and really weak and no children, obviously no grandchildren to speak of. And then God changed his name to Abraham, which literally translates in Hebrew to be the father. And that'd be a really cruel joke if you don't have any kids and you're being promised kids and then you rename someone to be named the father. And then he renames Sarai to Sarah, which translates to princess or mother of all of these descendants. And then it happens. They're 99 years old and Sarah has a baby. And there are so many moments along the way that Abraham could have given up. God told him to do some things and stay steadfast, but there weren't any really tangible hints that he could see or touch, feel that it was coming. And then, they literally became their lineage, the descendants of Judaism and Christianity. So, we talked last week about God's covenant or promise. And he obviously promised Abraham this, and there were many times where he could have given up. But he didn't, and it being tied with his presence, and probably the most, I don't think he ever would have admitted it, but he probably felt God most present the second that baby was born, right? And he could, when don't you feel that presence when a baby is born? But he might not have felt it so much along the way. And that's something I talked about today too, is that a lot of people mistakenly think that when bad things happen, automatically there is no God. But a lot of times, especially examples in the Bible, bad things happen not because there is no God, but because we have lost faith. People, as humankind, mankind has lost faith in God, and then something bad happens. So, and even it's modern day now too, there are so many terrible things happening in the world, and it's so easy to question whether or not there is a God. But it doesn't make sense along the way. I guarantee you, whether or not he admitted it, Abraham wouldn't always know what he was doing, and if it made sense. But it all made sense once that baby was born. And it's kind of like there's a song that I love, God Bless the Broken Road that led me straight to you. If you've ever experienced like heartache in your life, or just something, terrible things happening, and then something really good happens. And it's like, if all of those bad things didn't happen, it wouldn't have led you right to the singular spot that you were at when the good thing happened. And it's really easy to just only believe in God when the good thing is happening, but you have to keep your faith throughout the way. And it's easy, looking back to say, oh, now I know, now it made sense. But the challenge is to keep believing that there is a purpose and a reason, and these things are happening because of something that's to come, and to keep that faith along the way, along the journey. And I talked to them about 9/11, which sadly a lot of them are too young to even really understand what happened in 9/11. But look at all the stories that came out after of the people, their alarm clock that they've had for years and never malfunctioned, didn't go off that morning. Or they did the same thing every single day and somehow they missed their bus. I guarantee you, in that moment when the alarm clock went off or when they missed that bus, they didn't have much faith. They might have gone so far as to curse God or the world when it was happening, because it wasn't a great day. And it wasn't until after they saw the 9/11 attacks and knew that they would have been in that building had it not been for that malfunctioning alarm clock, had it not been for that missed bus, they wouldn't be here anymore. And they all said in some form that they felt God's presence then. It's easy to feel it when it makes sense. The hard part is to feel it when it doesn't make sense. And that's where I want to cry, because it's so insane. It's so crazy that like those things happen to those people, and it happens all the time. It's happened to me. I've been at a red light and gotten really annoyed with the red light, and it's taking a long time, and then I got distracted and I looked down at my phone and I looked up to see the light was green, but I had to stop what I was doing and then go, and a car blew through that red light. And if I had gone as soon as it turned green because I was super impatient, that car would have nailed me. Like a split second. I felt it. I'm sure many of you have felt it in lots of ways. But my challenge to you is to not just feel his presence and his promise in the good times, but in those times that don't make sense. That's Sunday School Simplified. I hope you have a wonderful Sunday and come back next week.